Thanks, everybody, for showing up tonight for our first community conversation, and this one's about economic development. I'm just going to do I'm Carol Lamont, and I guess I should introduce myself, and I'm the Director of Development. And these, Jason Robertson, who is a contractor of the village, he's not in the capacity of LFM ECDAV right now or a counselor. He's using his after hours knowledge to help the village navigate particularly these community conversations and just get people engaged. So Jason, do you want to, I don't think there's much more I can say.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, touchdown and Yurek Chidish. Jason Robertson, Shook is my traditional name from the area, which is Red Bear. And, I'd like to acknowledge that we're here on unceded territorial lands of the nation. And I'm just super excited to have everybody in the room. So this is kind of a post-cursor, I suppose, of the village's OCP official community plan update workbook. So previously, over the last, I don't know how many months, the village has surveyed the community and circulated a workbook to try and start some conversation in around these important topics that are here to sort of create a vision for the village of Lytton for the next 20 years. So this is the first of our series of our community conversations, and it's a series of meetings that provide focused opportunities for residents, local interests, surrounding jurisdictions and stakeholders to provide more detail about certain topic areas. So should we start the PowerPoint?
Yeah, just saying, Lisa, if you could start the PowerPoint, that'd be great.
The ideas shared in each of the community conversations will help the village identify key policy directions and actions to be included in the updated official community plan.
Yeah, next slide, please.
So throughout the series of community conversations, we'll have 6 different workshops. So this being the first one, economic development. Later on this week, we'll be doing housing. After that, parks and trails, food security and agriculture. Then we'll talk about infrastructure, facilities, and emergency preparedness. So the process of improving the economic well-being and quality of life for community by fostering growth, increasing employment opportunities, and enhancing living standards. So it involves a combination of policies and practices aimed at creating sustainable economic growth, while considering social equity and environmental sustainability. Economic development plays a crucial role in shaping the ways communities respond to challenges. Slide. It's a little snapshot. So the Muckmuck, we prospered here for well over 10,000 years. The villages, the trade, the population up around 10,000, all the surrounding settlements. We're prosperous in hunting, foraging, their settlements and trading, and basketry. The artwork was often a reflection on the wealth of a community is how intricate the art is. And here we're well known for our basketry and whatnot. So historically, Lytton, the area was a hub for trade. So folks from up and down the Fraser and Thompson rivers would meet here and trade goods. Glensheen, the historical name of the area, has the perfect climate to grow and preserve foods. The heat, the wind, and long growing seasons meant for plentiful crops for domestic and export use. Slide. So here's a little snapshot of, the 1900s and what the economy sort of captured and entailed. So 1808, Simon Fraser. Fur trade went into full effect in the 1840s. They discovered gold, which led to inevitably the Fraser Canyon War. Settlers occupied the area mid 1800s. And late 1800s, they started establishing reserve lands. Then the Caribou Wagon Road went through and was completed to meet the needs of the gold rush. Thank you for joining. Yeah, so from there, the CPR line from Yale to Hamlets was established. By 1891, the Lytton sub-district had a population of about 1,300 people. 1910, the CNR was constructed. And 1917, the Forestry Act was introduced into BC. In the early 1900s, the motor road was constructed through the canyon. In 1949, the Lytton Board of Trade was organized, which was the precursor to what we have now as the Lytton District Chamber of Commerce. So I'll quickly go through this. A few next slides. They definitely contributed to what Lytton is here now. So important things of note. So for transportation, the roads and railways construction brought people to Lytton, developing and supporting economic activity. Houses and commercial buildings were built and were a great addition to Lytton. Their existence continued to affect Lytton long after the construction. And then from 1957 to 64 is when the Trans-Canada Highway was constructed, encouraging tourism businesses through the Fraser Canyon. In 1971, Swiss Hamburger Engineering Works, and they opened the Hell's Gate Air Tram. In 1985, the Coquihalla Highway was completed, which unfortunately diverted a lot of traffic from the Fraser Canyon and shut down many businesses geared to serve the traffic. So, well before my time, but observing a lot of the old photos of Lytton and seeing how bountiful, how full our streets were with motorcades, with service shops, and places for goods. So it all started to slow down after Coquihalla was put in place. And in 2021, there were a bunch of floods that really affected and resulted in isolating Lytton. So showing how susceptible we are as a community. And thankfully, with the work of a lot of individuals over the last number of years, we have now have a more robust highway. Next slide. So some of the local economic drivers, primarily we had mining. So after the gold rush, there were several attempts to do placer mining gold in the Fraser River in several locations, and they often included folks dredging for gold. There's also jade mining, uranium mining, and other minerals. Currently, Lytton has a gold pan reserve, which is popular to bring a few people to town. Hunting and fishing. So Lytton formerly had guide outfitters with local accommodations. In 1980 to today, there are a few services aimed at hunting and fishing, and a lot of river jet boat, sturgeon fishing that's going on. And Lennox Dam, as we know it, or Onion Lake, have opened up a fly fishing resort. I'll bring people into the area. Slide. All right, so this one in particular was very important for our economy in Lytton, forestry. So before the 1960s, there were small little bush sawmills, small temporary outfits, and they included some of the locals that operated logging operations. The Arthur family ran sawmills from 1964 to 2007. First, it was a bush sawmill in the Botany Valley, and run by the company Spats and Lumber. And the Board of Trade assisted by lobbying for 10 years in the area. And around 1970, family purchased the sawmill site south of town and built a permanent sawmill. 1980, new company formed Lytton Lumber, new sawmill, employing about 20 to 80 contract loggers and truckers and folks working at the site. Subject to a number of shifts of markets, the maximum employment of 100, average around 50 over the years. So yeah, historically, we logged Douglas fir and spruce, some lodgepole pine, ponderosa pine. It's not really wood, but we would truck logs from Vancouver, Chilliwack, Boston Bar, Low 100 Mile, all points in between here to Lytton to process. And lumber was shipped in the early days by the rail and later by the truck, mostly for export down to Vancouver and around the world. So regional center, downtown Lytton provided a business center for the region, including medical center, a school, a bank, grocery, and other shops and services, tourism amenities with the focus on the area's history and culture, including the Chinese History Museum, Philosopher's Park, and etc. So the arts and culture and new recreation. So huge milestone in 1995 and a lot of advocacy. We were able to establish the Stein Valley's Heritage Park. Tourism amenities with focus on areas history and culture, including the Chinese History Museum. We had cafes with Loa's Arts and Cafes, Sunpetcher's Crafts, and also celebrating kind of what Mother Nature had provided us with the rugged mountain and with our world-class off-road trails. Frequented by a couple of their side events annually through the Onion Lake area and the various Forest Service roads. In the 1980, ginseng was big. So we had their first ginseng in BC with Western Canada and the US. It was a labor-intensive crop that took 5 years. Yeah, so major achievement for the growers, but the ginseng business has moved to areas with larger fields. And here's another big one for Lytton area, the rafting capital. I've often heard of Canada. It's a very fan-rich family. So following the surge of interest in whitewater commercial rafting operations started in the early 1970s, based out of Spence's Bridge in Lytton. So Bernie Fanrich founded the Cumsheen Rafting Resort near Lytton, establishing the first day trip rafting company in Canada. In the 1980s to the present, the Thompson River solidified its reputation for high volume big water rafting, particularly in the 40-kilometer stretch between Spence's Bridge and Lytton. So it adds roughly about 20,000 visitors per year to the area. Okay, some of the more local economic drivers. So the airport, which was originally developed, utilized for horse racing circuit, the suicide runs. Main reason for building was the owners of race horses could bet on horse racing in Vancouver. So that's in the 1940s, the federal government developed airports in case of war, particularly large cargo plane. So the ownership post-war went to the village. Decades later, the airport had sold to a developer who had housing plans and dreams and aspirations to establish a travel center with a truck stop, artisan cabins, a conference center with a powwow arbor, and the plan was to fly tourists in and give them a cultural experience. So Some of us might remember the fella, the company TN Share, early 2000s. It's a pretty exciting concept. But, unfortunately, had no dollars behind his dream. So since then, the airport has gone through one other owner, but now is currently owned by Kumching Enterprises. We had purchased in 2003, and we work closely with the village through a lot of the recovery activities that are currently on the restrict. So we have some demographics, so some basic census numbers stating the population in the area. Noting that prior to the fire, we had approximately 210 people residing in the village. Now we're in around 75 people. And median age 53 in 2021. Now it's about 59. School enrollment. So our local public school here averages about 63 students. And Stein Valley Public School, independent school, is of 130. So we have a fair range of school-age children being raised in the community. And on to the next one. So income. In general, sort of the median income in the households in Lytton in 2020 was $50,000. It's lower than the TNRD median income, which was $69,000. Employment rate in 2021, 75 employed, 70 not in the labor force. Employment industries, so a sample of 75, so we had about 10 jobs through the construction, transportation, warehousing, 20, public administration, 10. Talk a little bit about the TNRD. So the surrounding and extensive jurisdiction of Area I in the TNRD had a population of 1,038 in 2021 and 1,262 in 2016. So that's a slight decline of 17%. And the median age of the population was 55, with 44% of the population over the age of 60. We have some estimated population numbers here. So the village of Lytton, 75, Area I, 1,038. Lytton First Nation has approximately 900. Siska, 89, Nikamen, 196, Nakabar, 140, Scapa, 144. So in general, from mismatch of 2021 stats and 2025 BC stats, we have an estimated about 2,500 people in here, which is still significant. All right, into some of the meats and potatoes of kind of where we're at here nowadays. Land inventory and larger land holdings. So you can see a map here showing industry and employment. So the industry sectors were pretty limited to construction, transportation, warehousing, and public administration, while the occupation included legislative and senior management, business, finance, and administration, education, and social community, sales and service and trades, transport, and equipment operators. Snapshot of some of the large private land holdings in the downtown and also on the east side of the Trans-Canada Highway. Next, we have another map showing some of the large private land holdings of the airport. The 55 acres and the mill site, which is south of town. these parcels fall within the municipality of some of the pre-fire initiatives. So over the years, we have, always taken a concern, turned some attention towards the economy of Lytton. So we did embark on planning processes, research projects. One of them was the Lytton Tourism Diversification Project back in February 2005. There's the BC Ministry of Sustainable Resource Management, the Wilderness Tourism Association. They all agreed to collaboratively investigate tourism, focusing on several key directions. So accommodation destinations and resorts, rail bus tours, expanding into festivals, adventures, and year-round adventure centers, and the importance of arts and culture. One of the most recent studies was developing the tourism master plan. It's 2021 to 2030. That's been the focus. And the plan was developed to bring together First Nations and diverse stakeholders in the Fraser Canyon, which included local governments, tourism businesses, and community groups to collaborate, identify actions and initiatives intended to support the development of the Fraser Canyon's tourism industry. Another post-fire initiative was the Destination Tourism Plan. It's a roadmap that fosters economic growth through tourism, aligning with Lytton's values, visions, their capacity, their resilience, to benefit the local community and visitors. There, we introduced a total rest stop for Lytton to move into a full tourism destination. In 2023, infrastructure survey was about feedback on infrastructure priorities in response to the federal and provincial government investments. Lytton's rebuilding. So some of the outcomes from that were fire hall being planned, public washrooms, farmers market, village office, festival space, and public works building and essential staff housing were amongst causes. Relationship building, conciliation, reconciliation with the neglect, holistic planning, health, recreation, education, medical facilities, jobs, elders, family, all points in between. Some of the post-fire initiatives. So Lytton and Region Economic Recovery Work Plan and Recovery Needs Report was developed April 2023. Purpose of the plan was to provide guidance to the village and act as a resource for other agencies operating in the region to support business owners with the recovery process. A short-term recovery plan was developed and established in October 2021. This document was prepared only for the immediate 4 months following the fire and identified immediate priorities and areas of attention to focus on emergency temporary housing. So some of the post-fire funding opportunities that Lytton has available was the Pacifican Business Restart and Recovery. So $7.2 million program was offered to provide funding to eligible small businesses for a business restart, providing up to $20,000 non-repayable contributions. There's another stream of funding, small business recovery, which offered funding to $1 million with consideration for non-repayment. The contributions for critical businesses, so the brick and mortar businesses in the downtown core. And the homeowner resilient rebuild and bridge financing. So $6 million was allocated to create the homeowner resilient rebuild program with the top up grants eligible to Lytton homeowners for fire resilient or net zero and fire resilient home. I'm happy to see there are a few, maybe three or four homes that really grasp that opportunity and make it accepted. Stay at zero. All right, Lytton First Nations economic development. So the Lytton Airport currently has the Clemsheen Lodge, which is a 100-person worker camp established. We're providing accommodations for anybody that is coming to town to work or needs a place to stay for a period of time through the Highway Reinstatement Project, Tank Bill Project. We have an office complex established. And we're able to partner with Coast Range Concrete and establish a concrete batch plant and a laydown yard for equipment storage there as well. And some efficiencies for the community as they're rebuilding. Clemsheen Industrial Park currently has United Rentals with the tool cache. Building supplies, we've established Timber Mart. And Clemsheen storage. So we have CCADs available for folks who need to store some goods or tools or whatnot on site through the summer months. We have a batting cage that we set up available for the community, and to sort of rise to the need of accommodations in the area, we've established a couple of RV parks. So one below Highway 12, just down by the river takeout, one of the Clemsheen Industrial Park as well. And one new one that should be operational by the end of March is the import return at Bottle Depot, bringing one more amenity to Lytton to build to utilize. So through all the rebuild activities, the development corporation's established over 22 team agreements from different partners working in the area, whether they're working on recovery projects with the Lytton village itself or for the highway reinstatement project. So really just any way that we can help and support contractors and folks that are coming to improve efficiencies for those projects as well. Out of that demand, we've established the quarry, so Clemsheen aggregates, and we've been providing a manufactured aggregate for all of the rebuild projects. One project that is currently on the plate as well through a feasibility process right now is the gasifier project. And so it's the way to utilize convert fire damaged trees and whatnot in the area into power. Another community that's really excelled and grasping sort of economic development is Kanakabar, but the must stop rest stop. They're planning and developing on the former Makabar Cafe site. To supplement sort of their efforts there, they've established a catering business, provided entrepreneurial resources, the Fraser River Crossing project, the crossing housing, which I believe is the housing connecting the station road. So really important project to provide housing to folks that want to come back to the community or stay in the community. And they've really been a leader in the green energy. So a lot of the projects that they embark on, we've incorporated solar into their project to help offset costs and do their part. And I guess one of the huge successes with Kanakabar as well is the Creek hydroelectric project. So it's still functioning fully strong to this day. So a financially sustainable village, that's kind of ultimately what we're striving for. Once all the additional government recovery funding has been utilized, there would need to be approximately 35 new homes rebuilt in the village at the current average assessed value of $700,000. number fluctuates depending on the amount of commercial properties we build or new industrial development, and the tax rate that is set by the municipal council. The bottom line is we need more activity to help sustain our village in the long term. All right, and here's some of the findings. So we have I'm about to compile all of the workbooks that were filled out, and I'm not sure workbooks we had.
I think there was over 40.
It's over 40.
Yeah. Get that number. And just so everyone knows, the complete report is in the council package for Tuesday. So
We'll highlight some of the workbook findings that are relevant to this component, the economic. People really wanted to see an increase in population. They want to stimulate development in Lytton and provide employment opportunities, so they thought that was highly relevant. Wanting to encourage additional tourist and recreational commercial facilities. Want to ensure that new development takes place in a logical and economical fashion. Ensure that costs associated with new development not place excessive financial burdens on the municipality or the taxpayers. We like to see and promote and maintain an economically viable downtown. We'd like to improve Lytton's function as a service center, so reduce the household leakage. So folks going out of town and having to shop to get their supplies. Remember back in probably, I'm just going to guess, but the 60s and the 70s, I've been told that you can pretty much get anything you need in Lytton. And to maintain and enhance the telecommunications network. So some of the new objectives that come from the workbook was to enhance food production and the agriculture economy, to rebuild a functioning village with businesses, infrastructure, and services. We wanted to effectively manage infrastructure and key community buildings. Wanted to pursue new economic drivers such as energy, technology, and tourism. Looking to collaborate with the economic development initiatives. Identify and engage owners of properties in the community that could accommodate significant economic development. And to embrace the arts and culture as a contributor to a healthy community. So some other outcomes were to nurture the innovative local business investment, attract educational institutions for local training and economic, attract services to reestablish in Lytton as a regional center for government services. With the economic support, recognize the time memorial and post-contact history, culture, traditional knowledge sharing and reconciliation, and ensure affordable taxation. To become a provincial learning center for climate resilience and recovery, and to provide a diverse of housing. Actively work for a visitor center and reestablishing the hub, and investigate transportation improvements. So it's like a huge desire to not only have reestablish what it was, but think of that extra step farther. We've been really struggling, even pre-fire, and with our soliciting, trying to get our government services. Just the basic amenities, period. So some of the some other workbook findings or the respondent economic objective ideas. So if you want to see support specifically for the small and locally owned businesses. Promote the regional and First Nations partnerships. Promote tourism and festival growth. And really have a hard look at the green construction and renewable industry. Just kind of getting up with the times. That's basically the presentation.
Thanks, Jason.
Any questions?
Yeah, I think I might have missed it in the presentation, but I think that part of the economy that's really helped us has been the significant organizations that have developed here, N7 and then the Zen Child and Family Services. They've really expanded their offerings and really contributed to the economy with the employment. And I didn't see a note there about particularly Lytton First Nation, the economy of new offerings that they have at their band level, because when I came here, it was very tiny and we hardly had any services to call up for the students and families. And those offerings have been increased. There's a lot of employees now, which really help our economy. And when I see job postings, it's for bands. Mm-hmm. And I think there has to be a strong recognition of how important the growth of the bands and their projects are giving some of the services that we like to have, like the hospital and the grocery store and those sorts of things. And I didn't see a note on the BC Wildfire Service. Did we include that? Because that development has just been phenomenal economy help, as well as support for our infrastructure with our fire department.
Very good points.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, BC Wildfire alone adds 30+ jobs. Yeah. The social enterprise organizations in the area are really kind of what's holding our community up right now.
100%.
Yeah. So super thankful for those folks and their dedication, and their various boards of directors that work tirelessly to make sure that things are running smooth and that they have good plans in place and that their organization is growing and actually building, The Zenman Bird Nest Project is probably an example of that. And what it's going to have to offer our youth and our families in the long run is huge. Yeah.
So
Thank you.
Thanks. And more questions. I just thought I'd lay out a little bit what we're going to do, and we have about an hour. There is food there, so I want you to go at your leisure. And we have a bunch of questions that, Lisa, if you could put that one slide up for the people that are tuning in, and just pass that around.
Maybe taking questions from the floor, but all night.
Yeah. This is a conversation.
Okay.
So, if you guys, it's up to you. If you want to come in, be closer and be part of the roving camera. But what I'm going to do is take the notes down. If somebody open the food and you guys can kind of go that, and maybe we can. Did you have a question, Jeff?
Yeah, like on one of the slides, it talked about government services in the village.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that refers to the village Lytton office and the RCMP and the post office.
Just general services, yeah. And I wouldn't.
Those down, because I make a big village of Lytton office back here. So any statistics that support that would be great.
It is, but the what I would like to do is really quickly, if everyone could just tell me some strengths about Lytton in the area when you consider economic development. I think you started off really well, because that is a really good point, is the social services and the number of employment positions, and then on top of it, just everybody rising, for these services. So that was great. Anything else that we missed? This is really casual, so don't.
Punching, drafting.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do today. So
Is that what you're looking for?
yeah, so I thought like 15 minutes or 5 minutes, we'll talk about, just put your hand up and yell.
For brainstorming.
Yes.
Okay.
the elephant housing development that's going up. That they brought back their families, and now that they're building more homes.
Yeah.
I want.
The training, the employment, all of that is.
Everything's open.
Well, there's people that are gonna live here to buy things.
Yeah.
We need some people here to buy things.
The community.
Buy the cups of coffee.
Monkey Wrench
Want to expand on that?
is an annual event that's near here. That's a motocross event that people travel through for. Jason brought a little bit of that. Okay.
Well, Patrick.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Patrick, really quick, our location, I think, is a strength. We're 2 hours from anywhere.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
That's right.
Patrick?
And it's not what produces the coolest water. We've all read that business case, right? There you go. I think the most important part for economic development is economic education. What are we going at economic?
What are we going up?
What are we going at economic? During the recovery, during the rebuild, I've seen copious amounts of water coming. I'm not saying there's enough water to work in the world. But there's enough water plant. Right? We could be bottling water. Two, Lytton. Where do you go in prices? Because we designed and built up Lytton to the best possible ability. Woolwich's gonna have something happen to them. Where are they gonna go to? Or Cass Creek, or Spencer's Bridge, or Boston Bar. Get to Lytton, the safest place to get to. Design and build back the community so that it is the resiliency center of tomorrow, today. Finally, when it comes down to the 35 homes and the 35 new jobs that you need, or whatever it is, the 38 homes, I'm mindful of what's happening down in Puerto Vallarta. Oh, geez, let's kill some drug dealers. Forget about that if you go through it. I've always said that Lytton's location is really one businesses, and we're in Lytton. We're 2 hours away. So in Puerto Vallarta and other places, you're starting to see economic displacement. There's close to 500 Canadians who during COVID moved to Mexico and moved online. Why did you move to Mexico? Why didn't you move to Lytton? Goes back to those homes that are coming in. As designer homes, not just for our families, but designer homes is possible as a place. I wouldn't call it B&B. I've talked to families in Vancouver. They're paying $4,000. Husband and wife's team to run a business in Vancouver virtually. What's it cost per month in Lytton now? $2,000, $3,000? I have no idea.
So is that an opportunity or is it a threat?
It's an opportunity. So again, as you rebrand Lytton, it goes back to what Jason said. We need to have sustainable, viable, workable communication. For example, if I'm going up Mile Hill, I drop my cell phone for whatever reason. Maybe I just go full technology. Right? So look under making sure to build on everything that you've already heard. Because we need to rebrand Lytton. Right? So other than Carolyn, how many people have read the feasibility study for the Must Stop restaurant? Right. So it's 89 pages long. What the economy of Lytton was like between 1808, the time of first contact, and I think it was 2019 when we wrote it. So the Must Stop restaurant was a rebranding, a place that would stay lit regardless of the weather and the catastrophe. So look at that. What it really was that before the fire, Lytton was not attracting the economic development interest. What's changed? No. The business case was bad before the fire. Asked Bill Gammon. Oh, wait, he burned down and moved away. You think with all those businesses, the 60s and 70s, how do we get the market back? What is our market? So my ask then is, as entrepreneurs, be their corporations, be their families, be their individuals, give them a cheat sheet on the market that was, the market that is, and the market of tomorrow. So that when they go to their financial institutions, they're measuring by what's called opportunity cost analysis. If I invest $1 million here, What is my return on investment? Negative?
Okay,
Zero?
you're getting deep now, because we only have like 10 minutes.
And I'm saying though is, give us a cheat sheet, give the entrepreneurs a cheat sheet, tell us who the market is. Because if you want to attract the investors, you want an economic development, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's housing, whether it's virtual, you need to know the market. And I don't know who the market is.
The village is working on a kind of a pamphlet, I think
Yes.
that's the objective.
Yeah. A good point. Okay, who else? Climate? Want to expand on that a bit?
Just,
Right.
it's just really nice.
Long growing season.
That was. No on the ground, no.
And the other strength is, it's like having people. The Aboriginal.
Yeah.
How's that an economic driver? Or how can you make it an economic driver?
But yeah, that's small in a very shallow sort of approach, but do you want to expand on that a bit?
I think there's a lot of interest in indigenous culture, so having.
Yeah.
Talk about pollinators, having.
Museum in the village?
That's putting the museum up.
Love to see that.
Which would make a difference. We have 3 museums in town.
It's in a hub, in fact, run by the. I don't know, that's. One way.
Anything else?
It's a strength.
Concom and Lytton.
Then that,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You go to another community, you can't even, you have a half a bar of Wi-Fi. We're so lucky here.
yeah, you're.
Local business, it's so good.
So when we think about economic development and the driver's side, I absolutely agree with Patrick that we need to rebrand it. So in working before wasn't working for a long time. And it was all geared towards no traffic anymore. There's the Ocala went in.
Right.
So that traffic just was not there. And so how can we rebrand Lytton to make it successful once again? And we can't be having so much emphasis on the all the time on just social enterprise stuff. And that's what people tend to focus towards. So one of the things that I've always wanted to do was doing a community vision for Lytton, and explain what community development is, and start from there. Is to have that visioning exercise where people can come and create their community. Because if the people create their community, they're having a invested interest in it. So when we think about the visioning, we need to tell people what makes a community. What do you have to have the community to make it a community? So,
And just so you know, we are working, we're gonna work on the history and document it. The official community plan needs to document history, culture. And then what we're gonna do is I'm working with some other people on that. And then we're gonna come back at the end of all these conversations and do one on Lytton's identity, which is the vision. So right now, the workbook did get some comments from everybody on vision, which I need to go through, and then we'll come back probably in end of March, early April to then have a session just on it. It's a huge topic and will be somewhat challenging and maybe controversial. because there's so much history in this community. Yeah. Sorry.
Right, it's, right a bump in the road.
A bump in the road.
I mean, they just go by us,
Oh, okay, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I'm gonna come down.
The fact that the highway goes right past us.
Who shakes their hand when they come down? Peggy Jude used to do that, but she's no longer here.
What did you say? It takes you said it takes
So we're just a bump in the road. Up the road, so it comes down.
who were you saying should shake the hands that she's no longer here?
Hey, who shakes their hand when they come down and eat some?
Why don't you?
Nobody.
That is you.
Visitor center.
They can shoot you.
Yeah, that's right.
They
I know we need to play.
She's no longer.
I hear you. We need a, like, what I think you're saying is like a presence in the village.
Peggy Jude, who's gonna be the new Peggy Jude? You?
Yeah, I don't know that.
What now?
I'm way too young for that.
That's just. Step forward.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is,
I think we need a
Yep.
career, authorized career, space. With,
like a FedEx or something like that.
yeah, FedEx, Pure Later, Loomis, DHL, like all, like a whole, authorized place for parcel pickup.
Yeah.
And, sending out. They don't deliver to the post office, they don't come to reserves, which is like all Lytton.
Yeah.
And, they won't even come to my office.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah, so.
Okay, Mr. Holderman, what's your great ideas?
I built a 6-story building. Say. Yeah. I. The new energy.
Okay,
You could what people?
Would attract people.
Attract people, right?
A hotel would also want to cool because the hotel has different rules.
Oh, it's a 6-story hotel, not a housing.
Well, I would put 6 stories, 2 stories a hotel, 2 stories apartments, 2 stories of condos.
Okay,
so
so
what I also,
it's a multi.
The bottom floor is all personal, where you have a restaurant, you have your hotel lobby. And it's like,
I can go off the pub.
so, when you're doing, sorry, Stan, I did want to show you something, because we did talk about a green energy site, and what I took this is lighter, so it shows you anything that's yellow and really pink is super sweet, which means it's, but you can see the Bill site. You can see some of these other large sites, and of course the airport. So just do that, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, I want everyone to still write down your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But I also want to ask about economic drivers. And I think, Jen, you said one, green energy, right?
energy, yes, turn it into a.
I'm just gonna make the comment when multiple people talk, I know people online as well, and they can't always hear if multiple people are talking at the same time. Because I think that the microphone is right here, so I'm just wondering, make sure that everybody can hear.
So the renewable energy is beyond property deal. Spots. And you have to partner with First Nations over there, but I believe that it now has a fair number of Americans against it. When we first looked at it in 2007, in the world. It was only
Okay. So that's a good one. Green energy is something that I've heard a lot. Whether it be solar, and obviously Connected Bar has done quite a job with that as well. And sort of testing things out, from Run to the River to solar. And I believe there's been some work done on wind as well. Maybe Alton did that. Jason.
Sorry, Carolyn, I do have some questions online.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
someone's asking, is the SWOT specific to the economic development of
Yeah.
Lytton as a whole?
Yes.
Thank you.
And if they have any comments, just throw it up.
Yeah.
So, okay, we we really are brainstorming here in economic drivers. So what's, when you came here today, festivals, okay? So we have Riverfest,
Two Rivers Remix. Farmers Market. River Fest.
Digital nomads.
okay, digital nomad, so
Geocaching.
Jason, for digital nomads, you want to explain how they would benefit the economy, just really briefly?
Yeah, so folks that find an ideal location to sort of set roots for a period of time, whether it's over winter, kind of like a snowbirds type of concept. The only thing that they really require is accommodations and really good internet access. So these folks work digitally online with their business. And they have indispensable income that they spend in the community. They often like to do recreational activities, biking, hiking, those types of things in the area. They more look for the quality of life versus try to follow the work. They can work from anywhere.
Awesome. Any other drivers?
I noticed that during COVID.
Oh, you said, yeah, and actually that's what happened in the whole province during COVID. Yes, sir?
Stein River Valley.
Yeah, exactly. It's huge. Super famous.
Now, is it for hiking?
People go there to look at the rock baking.
Yes.
Go there for hiking. They go there for fishing.
Is there any guiding? as well? Did I hire a guide to go up there?
There's been some attempts, I believe.
Carolyn, I have branding
know
as a
better.
festival center.
Yes.
We get a lot of geocachers.
Riding through the Stein Valley, is there?
No.
No.
I think something that could be an economic driver is ecotourism, like what John was talking about. I mean, when I think about Lytton, I mean, I was away for 36 years, and the thing that I think about it the most is salmon fishing. And you see how at Adams River and Chase, how they do the whole tourism thing with people going and looking at salmon spawning, and I never ever thought in a million years that would make a whole lot of money. And so just even to have a space, a camping space, a day picnic space, for people that where they could sit and just observe. There doesn't have to be any interactions or trainings, and it could be, you can set it up with barcodes, with make from their little videos or something. Just so I like wouldn't try to fish. I mean, swim is like I think it's pretty unique to Lytton, the Lillooet area down in the canyon here because of the weather. And people are always looking for a place. Campgrounds are booked up a year in advance, and provincial campgrounds, I mean, just could be reopened and making a lot of money, but if there's a place where you can camp close to water, I think and just the quietness, I think is a huge economic driver.
Trains.
I was gonna say for the train.
I come here to see trains, believe it or not.
I have a few comments online.
Yeah.
So our biggest strength is that we are rebuilding from the ground up. Our biggest opportunity is branding. This is an innovative, hold on a second, innovative and resilient. Our biggest threat is narrative because narrative shapes investment. And another one is, yes, video, film, drone activities incorporated into festival programs.
You're gonna keep those, right? And then I'll just add them to the notes. Those are
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the video drone. Interesting one. Because it's a spectacular area.
That's actually, they pledged to, right, to use the area, especially in Ashcroft.
What a defense contractor for no site.
Defense contractor.
They're thinking outside the box, Jan.
Yeah, we did just, oh, we did just this year.
They're good paying jobs. And if we're gonna produce 50 of them, we're gonna have to produce a lot of merchandise. We just want to get the second to be good.
Interesting.
Yeah, you seem to see thinking. Is there anything that would be?
Well, maybe gold panning, because we have a really good gold panning reserve here. And there's not actually a lot of places in that are accessible as this one is. Yeah.
It's a great one.
And maybe kind of do things that embraces it a bit more and so they know where it is, how to get there and it's comfortable.
Yeah, and just knowing the regulations around it as well, like you need a panning permit, just like a fishing permit.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that.
And you only have to be in like certain areas unless you have a claim.
Really?
Yeah.
So
We're
even
supposed
the
to.
compliments.
Right, you've got this, oh, it's full right now, so.
That's cute.
Any ideas? Because you bring out really interesting perspectives.
Not this per se, but I just had one comment. Well, I get a lot of visitors that are doing the Duffy. Coming this way, somehow we have to tap into. Getting more of those people that passed through Lillooet knowing they could come here.
What's the call? What's that
Because they're often just driving through here, but they'll stop and because I have the lanterns out, they'll come and see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But they also, before the fire, they used to come and go in the store, go to Cloa for sure. So quite a lot of people coming that way. So somehow we have to tap into that, maybe have more, something along Highway 12 that lets them know that we have services here when we have services.
Well, what's it called, the tour that they had, the Golden Trail or something?
Yeah, I don't know that it's being held up now.
What I'm talking about, geez, what was that called?
Yeah, there was a Gold Trail,
Initiative of some
Ghost
sort.
Town Trail,
Oh, okay.
but they stopped doing advertising.
Something Jackie's ever.
But that used to bring me a lot of people too, because they'd stop at Yale,
Straight.
my museum, and way to Barkerville.
Yeah, degree growing days.
That's another thing, like Barkerville in itself. It's not just going and seeing the history, but this is what it needs, I think, too. There's a bunch of nice old stores, like maybe a bookstore, maybe an antique store, maybe a gift shop store like Denise's. A bunch of little places that people will come
Degree.
shopping in, sort of like most of the island towns are like that, right? People start a very small business. Because
Growing days.
all the people stay at Comsheen have money to spend, they come down here to visit all those little stores that they were here. To leave people thinking, I don't have to go big, I could put up a small space, or if there's small spaces to rent.
So we know it's an amazing place in the summer. What about the winter?
If you're allowed to go up to Tanny, you can go up to Tanny. Because there's snow up there.
Hike.
You can snowmobile, you can cross country.
Where's that really?
Up to Tanny,
Oh, but
if it's something that LFN wants to do.
Yeah, we used to use a forestry cabin, and then for a few years, there was a snowmobile and cross-country snowshoeing trails around the whole lake. That I think was volunteer people that kept that clean and community sports people, but that would be good, but that's a development initiative that's.
I was thinking of a weakness would be I'll use a specific example of the Ministry of Transportation and Highway, was to known as at the gas station and being the only service station open right after the fires, and put in a request for signage on the highway to indicate that we were there. And I know I provided the information to them several times about what it was and what we're offering, and filled out their forms and applications and phone calls, but nothing ever happened with it. So a lack of support from other organizations that
Provincial
ministry
in particular, yeah.
you would think it could be something simple, but it obviously wasn't.
And again, that could be someone like me that sits at a desk all day and is just like, can bug them. Sometimes it is just good to have someone that's what they do.
Carolyn, I have another comment online.
Sure, yeah.
So storytelling, investment, and opportunity positioning is key. Consistent messaging through an attractive online platform and all social media channels.
If you think there needs to be more, there's the chamber, there's the village, there's the LFM, there's the active bar, and there now is this community calendar, which is great. So.
Strengths is baskets. There was a guy I knew that had a whole pile of them for sale. So I sent him a message and I said, "Are these still available?" Then, no, they're gone to someone in Lytton. But there was a whole bunch of them. So I tell John Holden, "You gotta get on these things right away and not be sleeping at the switch."
For a moment, said she popped up.
There you go. Now you know that.
What a culinary art school.
As an opportunity.
Has an opportunity.
For any.
Often Lytton has been identified as the food basket of the canyon. Of wild foods that grow here naturally for folks that harvest it religiously over the years. Something to showcase, give a different experience. It's a bit of a trend.
I like that. That's line, that's good of the camera.
That and also artisan skill. Try to get some tools and organize our folks to inspire them. Similar to the project that John Stan's been working on for a number of years now, the Yucca Food Hub. Surveyed the community, you know, we soon to realize that we can grow stuff, we can harvest stuff, but it's challenging to get it to market. That was the business aspect of agriculture. We staggered, our local people staggered on it, right?
Yeah.
We also are the birthplace of Chief Lytton.
You think the world knows that story? It's such a, someone that's definitely an outsider. It is such a, it's the fact, and Canada would be a much different place if it wasn't for that. For better or worse, I guess I could say.
It prevented a war in the canyon.
It wasn't built either.
Gold miners from California were getting stupid with their people. and some of our people taught them a lesson. Let them say, stop, hold it. Don't do that.
I just wanted to mention one thing about artisans. Because what happened in Megan's Cola store is a few people started bringing a few items. And then all of a sudden it started to grow. The reason it grew is because you could just make 20 of something, switch to something else, which artists don't like to pump things out.
Yeah.
But they could just make the smallest collection and then there was a venue for it to sell. And I think that just opened the door. I can't remember, she had like 50 different people selling small quantities of things, but that makes, but also it made it easy for everybody who does a small craft. Have a venue to sell it in without producing or having their own things. So if somebody was interested,
It's like a consignment. I put shirts there.
yeah, and it was successful that way, right?
Yeah.
You think all the indigenous art that came in there, absolutely over time and things you didn't expect, like Gene making his jewelry from coins. He probably wouldn't have made them to sell out of town.
Right.
It was just having an easy access to people. Also, that would have,
So we have some pretty big land holdings, the airport and then the mill site, not that this is the greater week, because the village doesn't necessarily. Any big ideas for those? Jason, you can wait, because I know you have a zillion big ideas, but, we've heard green energy, I think we've heard that before,
How would we impact private owners though? Like,
I think one of the most important things in economic development is knowing your local business and you're open to listen to ideas and that you're prepared to work with them, not just be a regulator. So I think that's a really important. What did
yeah, right.
At the airport, they had point-to-point races, point-to-point races.
Of course,
Top of that hill,
Yeah.
and roar down,
I did back.
broken arm and broken leg.
So much, yes, there's definitely
Get cheese rolling.
What they call it, chicken camel, isn't it? Airport. At baseball games.
basketball very popular too.
Maybe we could have,
Caroline, we have another one on the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
Collaboration and engagement is also key. A great deal of the activities being discussed are under Indigenous or TNRB jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Reach out and engage in dialogue.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, maybe we should focus on holistic wellness. Like, yoga retreats and things like that. I know a lot of people make natural medicines as well.
Great. Yeah, cheers. And whatnot. Small businesses.
and again, some of those natural wellnesses could go in something like Megan's shop when she had it. So it's you can do small batches and all that. Is there something that we really don't want?
Well, living here, I've heard a lot of comments from locals, especially on the west side, that they are not happy with it going into the sign and into their neighborhood area. And I've never seen it, a discussion about tourism and supporting the local residents. Because they really felt impacted of people going around them. Now that the social media, they can put it, there about comments, so not always welcome,
So the Instagrammers aren't always welcome?
not always welcome.
We're showing pictographs in some cases too.
Yeah.
Where they're knowing our location.
How about a big factory? What if the milk came back? What if it was a carbon capture plant? What if it was
Casino.
a casino? What about a casino?
Write it down, I like.
Is that a yes? No, that's a no. Yes.
No casino.
Although it creates jobs.
That's what we're looking for, right?
Yeah.
We're looking to build, who was it, 3 million, they reminded us, we're looking to build how many more?
It's always a controversial.
Make those viable, yeah, right? So if somebody were to propose to one of these big property owners, some major, I don't know, what, bill coming down or whatever.
Like a chihuahua right here in,
Would the village protest that? No, right? But it's jobs.
It's jobs and it would allow probably big hotels to come.
Yeah.
Particularly if they're done with hotels.
So we veto it.
Say that again?
Maybe the village would veto it.
You think?
It might be.
No. Yeah, I don't know.
There's another comment online.
And then we'll do, yeah.
Is designate a piece of land for tech startups with significant tax incentives, which would become even more attractive if the startup were a society.
What is tech startups? What is that? Like an office space for someone's computer business, like an online business? Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks.
I think one thing that we really need is chiropractor, massage, acupuncture, any, so even a space for somebody to come in 1 week, a month, or a day of, like, so separate little units where they could, like a bed and breakfast kind of thing, where they can share a common kitchen and
Yeah.
have separate offices that they can rent out for a week or case people don't want to live here permanently.
Like hairdresser.
Yeah,
On the west side. Past Earl Sport. You go past their little power plant there, go down the road. Turn left. You'll see these windrows of rocks,
oh yeah,
windrows of rocks.
World Heritage Site.
And the Chinese people and other people made those windrows to find gold,
Yes.
you know. And
If I've asked several times with Mundals and other people about bringing people out there from the Chinese museum, because obviously they'd be amazed, it is amazing if you've seen them. But because we even offered, well, we could put in an outhouse, we could pick up garbage, but they're worried about liability if people fall on rocks. That's the whole problem. But it's amazing. If you ever get a chance to see that, it's kind of unbelievable.
And it's on Alpha or it's.
Well,
Or Mandela's
It's on Riverbank. Owns a Riverbank.
part of it's on Elephant's property and part of it is on Mundall's property. And there's many more sites up there. Those are the ones that are so convenient, and John Hogan sometimes takes people out there on reserve ones, but that is a concern, the liability of paying for.
One of the important things that kind of sets the table for the tourism area, and I think that your conversation over the last decade, couple of decades, was developing a tourism protocol for the area. And so we can get some buy-in from the village, from neighboring communities, how they might approach to it. Try and work.
But you do sort of say, and I've heard this a lot, like the village wants to bring these people to stay here, the restaurants, but they're not really getting the impact that the tourists going into places where they have been before. So, yeah.
I don't think any West Siders want to line up for the ferry with a bunch of people. Stop.
A couple other comments. Establish a national level First Nations wildfire training center and build a public school downtown.
Yeah. You know, just the site, Ramona.
Yeah, that argument for a long time.
While we're on the topic of the West Side,
I'll just bring up the ATV and motorcycle off-road groups that use that road all summer long.
Is it good, bad, ugly,
They don't seem to care, but they are noisy,
noisy?
dusty. They run in groups. They have nowhere to spend their money.
Even when they had the monkey wrench and it was still here, we never see many people come in to spend their money in it.
Just gas.
They just went, yeah, they went right through.
That's why I think your tourism protocol would be really important and things like that.
Yeah,
Because you've got so much balance. Environmental issues as, you know, is it worth it? Yeah.
The trade-offs, yeah.
Nobody got the Billy Barker days, the Billy Barker days in Lillooet.
Up in Quinell, Billy Barker's in Quinell.
Oh, okay. So that's what they have in Lillooet.
Yeah, it's not good.
So miners. Coal mining.
Oh, you.
That's murder.
They have to know what they're.
yeah, I think they, yeah. They're really branded that way, sure, yeah.
Yeah, but they came to the community futures one time and said, they just didn't understand why the First Nations people. They couldn't get them involved and they were just kind of, they never participated in any of the activities or anything. They kind of just vanished. And so we told them, oh, was it a happy time for them? You know, the women were raped and killed and children. So why would they want to celebrate such a thing? So it, you know, it seems that we tend to forget about it, right?
That's why putting it in the context of history, it's really, really important to understand that where everyone has come from, and it's not all great. At all. Is there any sort of economic drivers you really don't want?
Including railway ties.
Yeah. Fair enough. So nothing what's really noxious. Is that another way to say it? Sure.
Yeah, we should get rid of gravel.
Is there one up there?
You're cleaning it up.
Yeah, the railway ties? Yeah. I'm gonna put that down as noxious. Cause I think what I'm hearing is nobody really wants an industry that kind of changes how lovely it is here. It's like,
Of the wind from the downfield over town in the summertime, so.
Wind power.
did you see something up there, Diane?
Yeah, it's, there's another one, set up a satellite campus with First Nations University in Saskatoon. And then there's some further. Machine and 50-year-old school that we have there now. And the opportunity for, you know, maybe a new school with kind of state.
Community rallied over keeping the old LES. And then the school district decided to consolidate the two schools shortly before the fire, which was probably lucky in retrospect, but
Yeah, I mean, just a comment that we have our own post-secondary institute in the nation, NBIT.
Vicky does the MVIT is Nicola Valley Institute of Technology out of Merritt. So my current job is the adult education coordinator for Spine Valley Federal. And part of my job is to determine what the needs are in the community for education. And I find NBIT, because of who they are, First Nations run institute. They take into consideration the needs of community, and they have it in community whole department. So currently we're running year one, just finishing year one of the Indigenous Early Childhood Education Program. Then I'm just in the works of applying for funding for year two and for an adult graduation diploma. So when you see, they call it a BC adult graduation diploma. They don't use GED or or dogs. So so that part, and I think we're partnering because since I've been here, there's so many different levels of need of education. We have people in communities that need their grade 12. There's people that have master's degrees. There's people that are involved in all different types of work. So you can't have a large cohort. So really trying to work hard with institutions to be able to satellite classes in, because the cost having in community, because many people are working and going to school at the same time, and that's the only way they can do it. But still need the in-person contracts. So just like within VIT, we have somebody coming in person a couple of days at the beginning of each course, and then the rest is online. So just really working. They're really good at working with the community and what the needs are, even changing the hours of class. So it's a work in progress though.
Online, there's a few more. So protect the environment, no toxic operations. That's been a couple comments. And also some people agree, no, new downtown school is a great idea.
There's a data center that's kind of big. The servers and probably be attached here.
I have water, a lot of water.
Yeah.
I heard that there's water. This is like, this is a problem, water, we just have to get the water.
Sorry, Jason, I'm sorry, we can't really hear you very well online.
Okay. Often I'll refer to Canal Flats as an economic development because they were very similar where they lost their mill. And they did embrace it, and originally it was crypto. And then now everything's pivoted to AI. Yeah, it would probably be worth, and maybe this is some of these questions that we can move into is, what would we like to know? What would you like to know that would help? I think we talked a little bit about partnerships and First Nations and how there needs to be this collaboration. The village can't, just say, oh, you should run tours into the Stein, or you should like dig up the reserve with a dirt bike. But what else is there? What else would we need? I mean, I think someone talked a little bit about the mill. We don't own it. No.
Sometimes on Facebook we see these reels, and there's a guy driving down the road.
The historic one?
He's going through the tunnels and then he goes right through the canyon, and I'm not sure if there's narration on it, but you're on a little trip, and then he drives through Lytton because he drove down into Lytton.
That's kind of a cool idea. You could put together a whole bunch of little trips and videos, and away you go. I mean, how you'd sell that? How do you make money off that? Besides being entertaining, how do you do that?
Once we're ready, we could have the show Still Standing come back.
Yeah, in a year or so.
And overall, the whole marketing vision of what it could be. Also those dreams of where we see them. We've tried a lot here. We've been successful with a lot of things here, and I think primarily we ensure that everybody is able to raise their family with good good supports, whether we're helping to revitalize and support ranchers, so we can eat good beef. We're well on our way with agriculture and all the growers and things that we have in the area. What else do we? Supply.
Eight people. Yeah, at least the village does.
And just for advertisement, we're gonna be talk about housing on Thursday. So,
Yeah, Thursday for
Shameless plug.
and that's, you know, things like, how do you keep people here and how do you get people back? And perhaps maybe new people I can't. Just a little bit, so. Anything else? But like, I think, you know, obviously there is, Elephant has their vision with the airport. The mill owners, do they have a vision? Sorry, Jen.
Oh, it's just, it came to my mind is like, when you look up Lytton, quite often you see a lot about Kenny Glasgow.
I know.
And he is actually an iconic local treasure. Philosopher, come artist, come.
I have to say that I did my little bike ride when I first started and I went up the Botany Valley and I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah.
Why did I not know about this?
There's a motorcycle club coming through on July 4th that are not stopping in Lytton, to our point, but they start at Duke's Pub and they go to Lillooet and they're going to Spence's Bridge, I guess. And their whole conversation I happened just across on Facebook is about Kenny Glasgow. Just saying.
I bet.
Like, I went there and they got pictures of everybody's sharing their pictures of them. Somehow you could fix those
You
bikes.
have a comment online just for absolutely no data.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely no data center. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Mostly.
Oh, no, why not? What is it about it? The water or?
Become obsolete really fast.
Oh, yeah.
So. I don't know. If you have been NBC or something.
There any
Walk us through your video,
Water usage.
water usage.
Yeah.
We don't want people bringing their motorcycles and quads and alcohol and getting pushy on the west side. Well, probably everywhere. But even on the west side, they are just a pain in the ass.
Not local, like,
No.
Yeah.
They come every long weekend.
Yeah.
You know, there's a whole bunch of them.
really.
So some communities have dedicated trails, like trails for
Mhm.
biking, trails for hiking. To me, that's something that could attract people to come if, you know, they do that properly. Well, and something that could offer people who live here, right?
Recreation, yeah.
Recreation.
You're talking cycling, biking or motorcycle biking?
I don't know if there's dedicated motorcycle biking places or maybe there is, I don't know. But I was thinking bicycle and hiking, but first I went to the motorized ones and I thought, I don't know if there's any, but
It's the new evolving
Yeah.
bikes too, so.
but I know many communities have trails established for. And then they're not just going anywhere, right? They're sticking to specific
Is
trails.
there ski hiss trips, like with the motorbikes?
I've never known that motorbikes go up there, but it needs a lot of work right now because there's been so many trees.
So I know a group
But that would be an ideal spot.
in Williams Lake that would come down, lay out trails for us. Lay out good trails. Mark them and put together students to brush them. And mark them and name them. And I've been to those trails in Williams Lake. And some of them are just right up and down. Right up and down. And then I'm at the top. And you see this Sam Hill Trail going down, you know. It's just a skinny trail. A bike can go on it. And
Wasn't there an organization that contacted the village from Williams
like the
Lake
same
and offered to do it here as well? Was that ever followed?
Yeah, it had to
Followed up
be
on?
required to have cooperation with the indigenous people.
Right.
Yeah, and they weren't.
We were just at point. Yeah, we haven't forgotten about them, but
I will say that as far as mountain biking, it's a tough valley. You gotta get up it, pretty steep. As someone that was like 89, but I also think that there are a lot of destinations for that, but I think it's more a few here, a few there. So when you're traveling, going from the interior, there's reasons to stop everywhere. I've heard the hikes here, and Jen took me on one, and it was spectacular, like beautiful hikes. And I think that, like you said, there is some other communities do LRMP plans, which is often local resource management plans, with through the province and First Nations, and they actually designate what areas, front country trails, back country, and you can see probably a lot of people are familiar with what happened at Joffrey, and quite frankly, it's just the number of people that use that trail and that have abused that trail. So the management, I think, is a great way to do it.
We have another couple up here.
Yeah.
We have some corner kiosks, storefronts and homes, multi-use residential zoning to enhance options for selling crafts, fast food, etc. And then a question of, has there ever been an art or sculpture walk in town?
Another very simple one can be, like they have in other communities, I think Ashcroft has it. Walk around the community or a post with a photograph and a description of what was there historically. Even though we don't have anything, at the moment, but we can still, that's a nice walk.
I think people are very
If
interested.
they could do it in that, they could do it.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I know this is your place, Lorna, but the Frisbee golf is a huge draw for a lot of people if it was promoted. People drive, when I have friends come through, they're big Frisbee golfers, they want to go to your place to Frisbee golf.
Stop drinking. As we go close, needs more attention.
But yeah, but it is an economic driver.
Yeah, it's just what.
They have tournaments, right? People come
Absolutely.
from it.
Yeah.
That's the dinner.
Next one.
It really is. It's really good. Where do you guys
know
live?
this?
No, Jake.
I watch there, everybody.
The airport.
So I'm trying to check off some of these things, and one of the questions is what actions should be, but I think almost we need to come back with more, like I think you guys given us a lot of actions. And I think we have talked about what economic drivers that will conflict with other community objectives. And when I say that, I think we talked about no toxic, air, but sometimes it can be exactly what we're talking about. Like, oh, we invite all the world to downtown, and then they bring their hiking stuff and their mountain bikes, and elephants like, what? Like, so I think a lot of that are things which all of you and you have sort of flushed out. Like no economy is the easiest. And I know a lot of I come from Whistler, and it's not really nice to live in anymore because they let the horse out of the barn, I guess.
So you're looking at this path, make it successful. How many jobs you gotta have, making how much money in order for people to come here and buy a house. I put calculation, 50 jobs with 100,000, $5 million, 10%, let's say, the business cost. So you then turn around and need a business that's getting generate $50 million gross. That's a pretty tall order, but I mean, that at least gives us an idea. I'm not saying my numbers are right, but I'm just saying, this is rough calculation. How do you say that people come in here on the weekends buy ice cream? Get there.
But in Patrick, who I think left, but he told me something in our meetings, and he said, well, the village needs to rebuild. Stop relying on the First Nations community to be your customers. And to me, I felt, wow, that was very profound. It's right. We gotta fill these lots up with people and we need to have jobs. So as much as tourism, and believe me, I think it speaks to tourism, it's not great paying jobs. So you're not making 100 grand in tourism.
You gotta spend at least 700,000 for the house.
Yes. Sorry, Jen?
No, I was just gonna say, having said that, I think there are really good jobs in the community, like teachers that don't have the housing.
Yes.
So it's a vicious circle.
And
Like,
we have doctors.
yeah, exactly. Social workers, nurses. So the high paying jobs may not be it's CN, CP and et cetera, but for CMP, it's housing.
Yeah. The housing, again, o'clock for Thursday is important, right? And for the people that have built already. You just said that the cost of these houses are significantly more, so. I believe when I looked at the stats that this was a senior's place to retire. Because it was good weather.
It still is.
It had good weather, but it's a lot more expensive now, right?
What's that?
It might be a lot more expensive now.
To build, absolutely.
But I've been hearing mostly from the young people that work with me, or like Andrew, our son, that there's a huge movement of people, young families now that want their kids out of the city. They want them to be in a small community. And I think some of them, if they could afford a house here, which they can't afford elsewhere, even though our housing is expensive now, but I think some of them would take a lesser income in order to be out of the city. For example, a lot of, Andrew's making piles of money, but the cost of living here is relatively small. He has friends that have, degrees that are, degrees working in the city, and them and their wives are working 2 jobs just to have their house, their parking, their transportation, where, Andrew can make less money here and have all his toys. And so I think there's a movement of people, young families that just want to get out of the city now and get out where there's a small community. And during COVID, we had so many visitors coming here from Chilliwack, Abbotsford, like that I saw, that were saying, man, we just had to get out of the city. We want to come to a small place, and Lytton's so friendly and we can walk everywhere. They all said that.
When you drive the King Highway or Highway 1, literally your column is beautiful. Like I like it, it's fine, it's beautiful. And then you hit the Lower Mainland, the Trans-Canada, and it's just different. And you think those people are so close, they're right there. Yeah.
Denise's point, we're three hours from the Lower Mainland. It's kind of a big deal for somebody that wants to commute even almost, right? Like 3 hours. Some people are doing that from Whistler probably to Vancouver and Abbotsford to Vancouver.
And I was just talking to Chris Fields, wherever he presented at our launch, and he's working with Merritt right now. And Vancouver's out of industrial land right now. So, and with the ports and everything, so Merritt is really going after that. So it is something to look at to see what's their approach. And they're obviously on the Coca-Cola, so they're a little stronger, but it is an interesting is that, and they've been saying that for about 10 years that that's true.
I know you might bring this up in the housing meeting, but is there any way for new people to purchase land or properties and get insurance? Because that's a major barrier. I was hoping to buy a property, but when I came down to it to get insurance, I just couldn't get insurance.
Really?
Everyone denied me.
On their land?
No.
Like an existing house that survived the fire.
Yeah.
People look at that. That's
I can help you with that. I did it shopping. I was denied.
Did you have fire coverage at this house?
big part of the,
I don't.
that's always very important. And the timing for these things is sometimes crucial as well.
You can't get insurance, like with the fire last year, you wouldn't be able to get it.
That's right.
Or in the winter. Always get your.
Yeah. You know that? Is that if there's a fire within 70 kilometers of you, you can't get fire insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Serious, always get your insurance in January.
Or now. Yeah, or now. Yeah. Right now.
Anytime there's.
For May, I want to get it before May.
Anybody up there? You see?
We're agreeing to our data centers.
Yes, sir.
When we were doing the sign project. Came across. This, it's a history of the Fraser Canyon. It's called Fraser River Encounter, I think. But Robert Malcolm's throat was first kind of laying out reserves. But one thing that they talked about in Lytton, there was a humongous gathering of from the 50 people. There were about 1,200 here. They talked about education. They talked about religion. They talked about fishing. They talked about hunting. They talked about kind of like self-government. And they lined it all out at that meeting, you know. They all agreed on it. And it just a big, incredible meeting. But it went nowhere because of Uncle Douglas, I guess, in Victoria. And the miners, you know.
And it's just an article.
They stayed here for about a week, hammering that out. And that is significant. Another item is our people would gather in Botany years and years and years and years ago. They come on horseback from Meriden, Spencer's Ridge, and everywhere, and they have horse races and they'd be picking berries and picking to do and gambling, you know. Gambling. So that's what they did. You know, just a huge gathering. I don't know if it's every year, but you can still see the trail from Spencer's Bridge going up that way. You know, on that side of the road.
I don't read that. What I'm gonna do is, if you have more comments, just write them down, or come with me and write them down, same with up there, but it's close to 7 and we said 6:30, so. There's a lot of really great ideas. Jason, do you want to say anything?
Rodeo. That's a lot of first part of our history and.
Well, you know,
Good name.
That'd be awesome.
Made this to see us.
Frenchie and
Yeah. Up here on I-8.
Well, there used to be a golf course at Tuma. I don't know if anybody remembers that golf course. It's the only golf course that I've ever played in where I lost my ball on the green. Failed to go for holes.
Sorry, Ramona has her hand up. I'm not sure, Ramona,
Okay,
did you
yeah,
have
go
something?
Awesome. Hey, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. It was a day full of meetings and so forth, and my internet's not that great, so I'm going to choose to keep my camera off. So I've just been thinking about a lot of things over the last couple of months since the OCP process has begun. But specific to tonight's meeting, I just want to speak to how we're framing the rebuild publicly and the economic implications of that framing. So we all know that rebuilding Lytton has been really complex with many different factors. But what we seem to hear repeatedly in the public is about archaeology, not about the other structural and financial realities that have also shaped our timelines in our rebuild. So when one element, particularly being archaeology, that framing matters when it's really being one of the only highlighted reasons for the delay of our rebuild as being a primary barrier. And I just don't think it reflects the full complexity of the rebuild to date. And I really think that's been unfair. And again, framing matters. So how we frame what's happening in the community, I really think shapes investor confidence, housing uptake, business development, and our long-term economic recovery. So if the dominant public narrative is that rebuilding here is uniquely difficult or obstructed, that I really think that affects whether families will want to build here and whether businesses choose to open and whether developers actually see opportunity or do they see risk. So why would people choose to come here if all they hear is how difficult it is? Why would they invest if the story being told is primarily about barriers? And I really feel it's important that I need to say something more directly. I've said it publicly on Facebook, not in these exact words, but the way archaeology is being positioned by the Village of Lytton publicly right now really risks placing Indigenous people in a very dangerous space. There's so much anti-Indigenous rhetoric right now in British Columbia, and that's very real. Racism is very real, and the misinformation circulating right now is significant and it's harmful. And so when a complex situation is reduced to like one factor, it kind of creates that incomplete narrative. And I just think there's a bigger story that needs to be told about where we're at here today. And I'm not suggesting that that's anyone's intention, but intention and impact are different. And as leadership, I think you have to be mindful of that impact and be mindful of how that impact can be taken by the public. And I think economically, we do have a very powerful story that's available to us. I think Lytton's probably one of the only communities that's building from the ground up, where, we could be designing resilience in real time here. And, we're not simply restoring. I think what we're all trying to do is reimagine. And like a few people had mentioned, that people are really drawn to interesting places. And I think Lytton is one of them. Again, there's not many communities with the opportunity to rebuild entirely and thoughtfully and collaboratively. And that's really a compelling story. And I think that's investable. People invest in a vision, and I know that's what all of this is all about. And they invest in leadership, and they invest in communities that demonstrate stability and shared responsibility. And I guess I'm just hearing that we're framing rebuilding primarily around like a lot of the barriers, and there's been a lot of barriers, right? Again, it's been really complex. But I think we need to start reframing and around resiliency, around innovation, that complexity is being honestly managed here. And what does that look like? And I think it's things like that that build confidence. And I just think how we frame this moment will really shape our economy for years. So that's just all I wanted to share today. So thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And I think that, like I said, to that whole identity conversation, and I have to be honest, terrified of it. Like it's, I don't know where we go. Like it's, I'm just sort of someone that's helping to facilitate, but your history is long and complex, and but yet so much. Everybody today talked about so much good that is here. So yeah, it'll be a challenge, hopefully, for all of you.
Nice to actually celebrate the archaeology to a
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like anything, you know, the story behind the fire and how things happened, or just living in areas like that. But yeah, sorry, Jason, I'll throw it over to you.
Just before we close, just really wanted to show appreciation and thanks for everybody coming out. I think in order to create a vision, you need to have momentum. And we're building that momentum as a community. And so whether it's good feedback, negative feedback, we kind of need that balance and everything. So yeah, we're here. So this doesn't end at this particular workshop. Always open for more feedback and more suggestions and ideas over time. And definitely please do take some time to come to the other scheduled workshops. The next one's coming up on Thursday for housing. Same time.
And one thing, you know, just again, an advertisement for the housing discussion, is we're always a single family community. And maybe to allow more people, a more diverse community, that needs to think about that. Yeah. But thanks everybody. It was
Caroline, could you please make sure you catch that? Being resilience in real time.
I will get all of those.
Is that
Because you're applying.
Thank you. Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Carolyn.